What's up guys, welcome back to Daniel Talks Football right here on YouTube. I'm Daniel and we are back with another video. In this video we're going to be having a look at Manchester City and the potential charges they could face if they are found guilty of all 115 breaches against them. Before we do get into it, please make sure to like the video, comment down below and subscribe to the channel. Go and follow the TikTok and the Instagram, Daniel Talks Football on both. Right, so Manchester City, now this is a really interesting case. I was listening to an ex-finance person or something from City on TalkSport the other day, and they were saying some really interesting stuff. So I wanted to sort of sit down today and have a look into, you know, the kinds of things they were saying and what these 115 breaches could mean for Manchester City. Now, first of all, he was saying that if found guilty, that these would be really severe punishments for City. He was saying relegation would almost be guaranteed, and that would possibly be the start of it. However, he was also saying he thinks it's unlikely that they will get found guilty because we all know how Manchester City are and the power that Manchester City have. So I wanted to have a sit down and have a think about, first of all, what would be fair, and also what I think will happen if they are found guilty. There's no point in speaking about what will happen if they're not found guilty. No charges will be made against them, and that's probably what I think will happen. However, that does make for a very interesting YouTube video. So we'll start off with what I think they do deserve. 115 breaches. You look at Everton, they've had 2 breaches. That will result in somewhere between a 40 to 20 point deduction given by the Premier League. Forest, a one breach, that will result between somewhere a 4 and 10 point deduction, which is what's currently being talked about, somewhere between that range for these two sides having broken FFP for the last 3 years. Now, Man City have done something very different to this. They've hiked up their sponsorships. They've said they've received more in sponsorships than they actually have, because they said that they were a worldwide phenomenon when they obviously weren't at the start of the takeover. People didn't know who Manchester City were. They knew who United were. People had no idea who Manchester City actually were. So you really can't say that, you know, Manchester City have got all this money in. So what would be fair? Relegation from the Premier League would only be the start, I feel. I think if they are found guilty, and I do have to continue to say if they are found guilty, relegation has to be the start, because they've made a mockery of the rules and they would not deserve to stay in the Premier at that point. Relegation. A transfer ban, I think, would also have to be implemented. I would say a 3-year transfer ban, I would actually put them under, to be honest. I think that would be fair. Do I think... Well, no, I'm starting to do what I think will happen. I think relegation from the Premier League, and I think a 2-year transfer ban. I think that would all be fair in terms of what they've done. I think a 2-year transfer ban plus the relegation from the Premier League, I think would be fair. Obviously, that'd have to be accompanied by a massive fine. You know, 70, 80 million I'd recommend, probably. However, that's if they're found guilty of all 115, which they will not be. Some of those charges will be bigger, some of those charges will be smaller. I wish the Premier League would go about it by a charge-by-charge case. However, that's not what they're doing, and hence it will take an awful long time for these charges to be concluded. There is a date been set in court, I do believe. However, these proceedings will rumble on and on for a long time to come. And I don't think the result of these charges will be concluded this season. However, what do I want to happen? I want a double relegation. I think Manchester City, if found guilty, should end up in League One. I think furthermore, a 5-year transfer ban should be implemented, and I think a fine of near enough 200 million should also be implemented. I think you would have to look at the ownership and say, do they still deserve to be the owners of Manchester City? Can you just kick them out? We've seen that kind of precedent happen before under Chelsea with Roman Abramovich. Now, if City were happy to possibly sell up, if the City Group were happy to sell up, then could you argue that these punishments could possibly be lessened? Yes, I'd say if the City Group were happy to sell up, I'd go back to those first sort of punishments and settle on them. But something needs to be done about this, and it needs to be done quickly. Obviously, we're all seeing all the fans of Forest and Everton come out and say, oh, but you know, we're being punished. City haven't been punished for these 115 charges. It's still an ongoing investigation, and hence you cannot say they have not been punished. They have not got away scot-free yet. Do I think they will get away scot-free? Yeah. I agree with the finance expert, or whatever he actually was, that... There was a title, I can't remember what it was. I agree with him that Man City have the best lawyers in the world, and I do think they'll get away with this scot-free. However, what do you think, and what do you think would be a fair punishment for Manchester City? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you all again in the next video. See ya!